Good evening and welcome back to the Pastor Study. You know, God sometimes challenges us to test Him. One of the first places we find testing, at least in the New Testament, is in the very first chapter of the book of John. Jesus is choosing His disciples, and He's chosen Peter and Andrew and found Philip. And as soon as Philip met Jesus, he went running to find his friend Nathaniel. Nathaniel, and he tells Nathaniel, you got to come. We found the Messiah. We found Jesus, the one that they've been talking about, that the scriptures were telling us was coming. Nathaniel is a bit jaded. They've had messiahs come and go, false messiahs, obviously, and he says, well, who is this? Philip says, Jesus of Nazareth. Well, Nathaniel's prejudices come to the forefront. He says, can anything good come out of Nazareth? To which Philip responds, come and see. In other words, come and see for yourself. You see, we can't find Jesus any other way except on our own. We can't find him in our parents' faith. We can't find him in our friends' faith. We must have that relationship with him one-on-one ourselves. And the only way that ever happens is for us to approach him. In Jeremiah, he says, you will find me when you seek for me with all of your heart. When Satan was testing Jesus in Luke chapter 3, he offers Jesus all sorts of things, bread from stones, ruling over the world. And then finally he takes him to the top of the temple and says, jump off and let the angels catch you if you're really the Son of God. Because scripture says the angels won't let your feet suffer to be stumbled on stones along those lines. Jesus looks at him and says, but scripture says you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. But what I'm about to share with you is a little different scenario. In Malachi chapter 3, God is taking the Israelites to task. Their faith has gone through the floor. There is no relationship any longer, either national or individual. In fact, he accuses them of saying, why should we worship God? What does he get for us? What's in it for us? We've got nothing lately. We'll go find somebody else to worship. And God says, I can tell you why nothing's happening. It's because you've withheld the tithe. You are robbing from me. And then they say, well, how are we robbing from you? How are we robbing you, God? And he says, you're withholding the tithe. You are withholding the one thing that indicates the core of who you are. And even today, I find as a pastor that if you can break past people's hold on their money, their wallets, especially men, then they'll turn loose of everything to Jesus. That one place with finances seems to be the place we hang on to the longest. And getting back to Malachi chapter 3, God says, bring the entire tithe to the storeroom. So there'll be food in my house, that is for the Levites, for the priests to eat, because that was how they got their sustenance. And see if I won't pour out such a blessing on you that your barns won't even contain it all. And he says, test me in this one thing. Now, he's not opening up the world for us to say, well, God, I'm going to put a fleece out here and I'm going to test you in this way or that way. But he is telling us to test him with our finances. And in Jeremiah, the prophecy in Jeremiah is almost a challenge. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart. And almost in parentheses, there is, are you going to do it? Try me, God says. So that's really the thought I want to leave with you today. Philip said to Nathaniel, come and see. Give it a try. What have you got to lose? I don't know where your struggle is right now. From time to time, for some of us, it may be an issue of trusting God for healing or for finances or for provision or something else. Maybe you're dealing with emotional illnesses, depression, some other area of life. I don't know. We all fall into different categories at different times. But here's what I do know. There's one person that has the answer to all of it, and that's Jesus. So I'm going to echo Philip this evening and say, come and see, give it a try. Lay it before the Lord as clearly and as plainly as you know how. Don't worry about dressing it up with the these and the thous or anything else. Get away with just you and God and lay your need out before him. Seek after him with your whole heart, as God said through Jeremiah, and see what will happen. We know that Nathanael became one of Jesus' disciples. You might be surprised at the results. Give it a try, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week back in the Pastor Study.